How we doing, everybody, and welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage, always joined by the co-host of the show here, Aaron from Brutally Honest Sports over there. You can check him out at all those social media platforms there underneath the Brutally Honest Sports. Aaron, how we doing on this Tuesday night?
All things considered could be worse, right? All things considered could be worse. Finally getting out of the woods of this cold, but so I am grateful for that. But yeah, we'll get into the MLB kind of landscape, but yeah, I mean, all things considered could, like I said, could be worse. So
could always be worse. Could always be worse. And we want to start out the show with, just sending our thoughts and prayers down to the people of Florida in Tampa Bay and the surrounding areas specifically. Hurricane Milton is on its way. And from everything that we've seen across the news and everything else, that is going to be a nasty one. So prayers to everybody down there. Hopefully, if you were told to evacuate, you got out of there. If you haven't, prayers to you. We hope that, it will get better. We know it's going to get better, but the worst is coming right now, and they're talking historic stuff down there. So stay safe out there. Hopefully you guys are okay through that there. So Aaron, right away, I want to get to something that happened today here. The MLB is set to take over broadcast for the Guardians, the Brewers, and the Twins starting in 2025. So the contract for the Brewers essentially was going up anyways with Bally. And Bally, as we all know, Diamond Sports Group there, they were, bankrupt. They filed for bankruptcy. That whole thing was going down, and now we see the Brewers will be featured on MLB. So, the biggest problem with MLB throughout the years and what I've found out is you get a lot of blackouts, right? You get your blackout restrictions. You can buy MLB, but for some reason, I'm blacked out of watching games in Wisconsin. I can only see them if, like, San Francisco Giants are playing the Dodgers. I can watch that game, but I can't watch the Brewers playing in Milwaukee. I've never understood it there. But we're going to see the Brewers on MLB now. Where do the Phillies play?
CSN Philly. So it's like a Comcast. Like, I know the A's have CSN Bay Area. I think the White Sox have CSN Chicago. Like certain cities and networks, stuff like that, they kind of work together. Like Comcast is a huge, like, massive Goliath in the media space. So I know they have certain areas, but like you said, Brewers have who else has? I've watched some other, what is it? Bally Sports, right? That's what they call
Bally
it.
Sports. Yep.
Yeah. I know there's another team out there that has, because I've watched, I'll flip on random games and stuff like that, but I don't think the Brewers are the only one with Bally Sports.
It's a good
tied to them. Twins, maybe. I don't know. That's just a guess.
There's a lot of teams that have dropped them. I know that. I'm trying to see what other teams use Bally. Oh, I looked up Ball Sports. That's why.
Oh, here we go. 4 teams that have them. 4 teams that dropped television partnership with Bally Sports for the upcoming season: Minnesota Twins, Cleveland Guardians, Milwaukee Brewers, and Texas Rangers. So there's at least 4 right there that at least were part of it.
And a pair to Arizona, Colorado, and San Diego too. The Bally Sports regional networks carried 12 teams in 2024. So now you had 12 teams there. You lost the Brewers, you lost the Guardians, you lost the Twins, and the Rangers. So you lost 4 teams out of that 12 total there. And it's going to happen. There was talks about Amazon buying out the rights to Bally too. We were going to see Brewer games on Amazon. That deal kind of fell through there. So we were waiting to see what the next market was going to be. Now, that we used to have Fox Sports North, or Fox Sports Wisconsin, that's what it's called. Fox Sports Wisconsin used to have the Brewers on it all the time, and Fox Sports Wisconsin went away. We got Bally. Well, that's been a crap show ever since. And, well, now we get to go on MLB. So that could be good, right? Quality might be good on there. You hope that you're going to still have all your same sideline. Sophia Minard's still going to be on the field doing reporting. You're still going to have your same announcers in there. That's what you hope for. I'm guessing that's what it's going to stay as. I wouldn't see it changing, but definitely something to keep an eye on there. So Brewers, get rid of Bally. Finally, we're going to be moving to the MLB. Let's stay in the MLB. Let's stay with the Brewers here for a minute before we get into the playoffs a little bit here. I want to look at a couple of moves that they're talking about the Brewers making. And number one is Devin Williams. That contract is only getting bigger. He's getting towards the end of that contract. And a lot of people are looking for the Brewers to move on from Devin Williams, especially due to the lack of success that he's had in the playoffs. Well, I shouldn't even say that. He punched the wall before the playoffs a couple of years ago, didn't even get into the playoffs. And then this season, he blows the playoffs for him there. So a lot of people calling for Devin Williams to be traded. I don't know, Aaron. Like, in your opinion, you've seen Devin Williams pitch. When he's on, he's on. This guy can be lights out. He's got one of the best changeup in baseball. When he's on, he's unhittable. But there's also those, we walk a lot of guys, we load up the bases, we get ourselves in tough situations. There's those moments, too, you got to worry about Devin Williams. So if you're the Brewers right now, are you looking, just because money's tight, you're not going to be able to afford this guy when, rent comes due, we're not going to be able to afford this guy anyways. Do you capitalize on his worth now versus waiting and kind of having it turn, the Corbin Burns thing didn't turn out bad, but you want to get as much as you can for a guy. And when there's still a lot of contract on the backside, you can get a lot more for him. So what are you doing right now if you're the Brewers? Are you looking at moving on from Devin Williams?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way you look at it is like you got to look by team basis. Like the Brewers aren't the Dodgers, right? The Brewers aren't the Yankees. They're not going to break the bank for let's say they hold on to him this year and he's 48 for 48 in saves. That'll only make him more valuable, So if he goes out and has a spectacular year this upcoming season, then that's detrimental. I mean, yes, it works for you to have one more year of him, doing that for you. But then, if the plan is we're not going to sign him anyway, I think you, as a Brewers type franchise, because I can compare them kind of to the Orioles and the fact that they're not gonna be major players compared to like these other Goliaths like the Mets, the Dodgers, the Yankees, stuff like that. So in my opinion, I think moving him now while his value is still high and excuse me, you still have team control for him for one more year. So I think you move him, a really good contending team would take him. I mean, you're going to get a haul for this guy. Like you said, he's probably top 5 closer in baseball. People throw those things around all the time, but I know he's very good. So the thing is you don't, like you said, you don't want to look what the Angels did with, I know it's Ohtani. He's that guy's a freak, but like they got absolutely nothing for him and they got no rings out of it either. So it's like you kicked yourself while you were down on that one. You shouldn't make the same mistake if you're the Brewers. Like you said, I mean, I doubt they're going to re-sign him anyway. Like, everybody's going to – the Brewers fan base can probably back you up on that and say that, I doubt we will take this guy. I mean, he's 30 years old now. Just looked that up, 30 years old. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know his injury history other than the broken hand thing, but I would say as the Brewers, you get some starting pitching out of the – like if I'm looking to move him, go get some starting pitching. Obviously, I think Woodruff comes back this year, but you don't know exactly what he'll be just because of being out a year. You lost Burns last year with the trade. Like, go get, even if they're prospects, like fill that minor league system up with pitching, I would say. Maybe a batter too, because, you're going to lose Adames. So, go get a middle infielder that's either a player now or a prospect. And just like I said, just get what you can for him because, like, the last thing you want to do is, okay, we're going to the last year of his deal, and then he doesn't come back, and you didn't get anything for him. So I would just I'd move him while and he struggled at the end of this year. So not to say that he can't figure it out again, but maybe we saw the best of Devin Williams ever. Like maybe he will be on a little bit of a, not going to say he's going to be bad, but maybe not that dominant level. Like we don't know. He has to do it again. So I'd move him while you still have some eggs in that basket.
And, the Brewers will do it too. The Brewers, if they have that feeling that he's on the end of it, they will do it. We saw it with Josh Hader. Nobody understood that deal when they made it, when they got rid of Josh Hader. They're like, why are you getting rid of this guy? Why? And then all of a sudden they see Hader on the backside. He's blowing games. He's not the same kind of guy as he was. The Brewers know. And you're looking at, like you said, I mean, going into his age 30 season, Brewers have a club option on him, but it's 10-5 is what they're going to be paying him for next season if they bring him back. The luxury tax is 7.2. I mean, you're putting over 7.2 right there. So, and then he becomes a free agent after that. You don't want to deal with that. So right now is the time. You go get towards the winter, get to winter meetings, you make that move. And the Brewers are a team, like you said, they don't have a lot of money, but they like their youth. They need their youth. So you get those guys to build up that minor league system. Maybe you get a power bat. Maybe you find a bat to fill in a corner infield spot because, you know, Willie Adames is gone. Are you going to slide Joey Ortiz over to shortstop? Are you going to slide Bryce Terang over to short and then move Joey Ortiz? Are you going to leave him at third base and get a second baseman? You have so many different scenarios that you're trying to work out in your head right now, but you got to find power to replace Willie. Maybe Devin Williams is the key to find that power out there. There's also a little bit more power that we don't know if it's coming back or not, and that is Rhys Hoskins. Because Rhys Hoskins he's got a player option for this next season there. And with the lack of production that Rhys Hoskins had this season, outside of home runs, because home runs, 26 home runs, not a terrible year for him there. But outside of that, batting average down, everything else down, defense subpar at times. You could have even at times said you wanted Jake Bauer. Like we saw it in the postseason game. I mean, you said it on the show the other day there about Jake Bauers coming in to pinch hit for Rhys Hoskins in a playoff game. That is something I didn't think I would ever say or see was Jake Bauers or in any facet pinch hitting for Rhys Hoskins in a playoff game, just because every time he came up to bat, I kept saying to myself, man, like I'm waiting for that postseason moment. Like I've seen so many postseason moments out of this guy, and I'm trying to conjure it up too. I was telling my wife, I'm like, I'm going to buy his jersey. If he hits a home run right now, I'm going to buy his jersey, and then he strikes out. And I'm like, I guess I'm not buying his jersey yet. Like, you don't have to worry. I'm not going to blow the bank on his jersey yet, you know? But, you know, so we hear Rhys after that game in the locker room, sat down in the clubhouse with the guys for about a half hour afterwards. They said he sat in a corner, didn't really say anything. Reporters went and talked to him. And he came out, and I just wanted to read his quote from that after that game. He said, it's the type of group you want to be a part of. There's a ton of talent here. Surprised everybody this year. I don't think we'll be a surprise next year. I don't think we will be a surprise next year. We've got a lot to get through first and foremost. How obviously the disappointment. I said this right when I signed. I said this throughout the year. The most important thing is to be on a winner. This is absolutely a winning team. When I hear Rhys say something like that, the way that he said it, I don't know if it was because he was in the moment. He wasn't trying to stir up controversy or anything like that, but you're talking to a guy and he's telling you, man, we're not going to be this team next year. We're going to be that team that everybody's ready for. And it makes you feel like he wants to come back. And hearing him talk, I heard him in an interview. I can't remember what podcast it was on, but he was talking about the people in the Northeast versus the Midwest. And he said, you know, you love Philly fans. You know, you're a Philly fan. He said, you love Philly fans, you know, but when they love you, and it's great. But he said, when they don't love you, it's not fun anymore. But he said, and the fans, they're all like that. He said, top to bottom, they're all like that. But he said, I came to Milwaukee, and he said, night in and night out, I come to the ballpark, and I'm just paraphrasing off of what he said. There probably isn't the exact quote there. But he said, you see all these fans in there, and they're just excited to be there. They're just excited to be at a baseball game. They, you know, win or lose, they're like, we'll get them next time, this and that. He said it's a different kind of atmosphere in Milwaukee versus what he saw in Philly there. And he said literally, like, he made Midwest nice seem like it was actually a good thing, right? We call people from Minnesota, we say they're Midwest nice. No. He actually made it, you know, he said people in the Midwest are so genuine, you know, they're so nice to be around, everything like that. He loves it in Milwaukee. He loves it in Milwaukee. I'm at a crossroads with Rhys Hoskins, and I want to get your opinion on that because you saw him in Philly for all those years. I'm at a crossroads because he's coming off of an injury year. He's coming off of an injury, did not play baseball, wasn't practicing, wasn't doing nothing. And then all of a sudden he comes to Milwaukee and struggles a little bit, gets injured. He's out for a month. And then he comes back, no minor league time or anything, doesn't really have time to get back into the fold, and he struggles. He still struggles. The home runs, like I said, 26, not terrible there, but it's the average we're looking at. It's everything else. If you're the Brewers, are you bringing Rhys Hoskins back? Simply because you are looking at the better years versus last season. You don't want to weigh him off that 1 year. You've seen the production, what he can do in the past. Are you leaning towards that? Or are you like, I saw this last year, I don't want to deal with it anymore. Let's just let this guy go. Let's see if we can find a cheaper option, because we are talking about the Brewers. You know, it's $18 million that they're going to owe Rhys Hoskins next year. We are talking about the Brewers. it's not really up to them, right? It's a player option. They don't really have that control. But are you okay letting Rhys Hoskins walk away if, let's just say, his agent says, like, hey, the Mets will give you 20? Like, the Brewers, are you okay if they say, okay, go for 20? You know, Pete Alonso's gone. I don't think he'd ever go to the Mets, right? I don't think there's a way Rhys Hoskins goes to the Mets. I think he'd fight somebody there before he got into the building. But, like, you know, that kind of scenario where another team's offering him 20, the Brewers would have to pony up $2 more, but they're like, we'll let you
go. This is a tough one. There you go, Kyle. Maybe Kyle can give his input on this one too. But
Kyle, what are we doing with Rhys Hoskins? What are we doing?
I looked up, like, you know, I tried to pull up the first baseman contracts. So I mean, the guys above him, like, Vladdy's at 28 mil. I had this in order, but it went a little haywire on me here. But I mean, there's a lot of guys that are, like, you know, you're talking like the Paul Goldschmidt, Freddie Freeman, like, you know, Rhys has always been like kind of, even in his Philly years, I think if he was average on defense, he would be mentioned in the category of some of these guys. It's just like his defense is subpar, and like you can't really get around that. So if you have to play him at first, you know, if you don't DH him, then it's like he's kind of a liability in that respect. If you can DH him, I mean, I think you want more than 26 home runs isn't bad, but coming off what he can, you know, what we've seen that he can, you know, he's a mid-30 home run guy. So there is a drop off. Now, is it because he's coming off the injury and like he'll get his feet underneath him again? That's the big if here, because if you go into this year and like you said, he got injured for like a month last, like, is it one of these guys that just, he's going to find his way to the IR, like every, you know, the IL, I should say. But yeah, it's, you're taking it, and like a team like the Brewers, I mean, 18 million is not, unless you're like the Phillies, the Yankees, and the Dodgers, like teams don't just throw like 18 million is a substantial amount of money in the MLB, excuse me. So I can see it going either way. And if I'm a Brewers fan, I wouldn't be upset if they let him walk. It would be a shame, you know, it would be nice if you could get something for him, but that's not how it's going to work. Basically, it sounds like, I guess it was a 1-year deal with that player option, so he can elect to just bounce. Maybe a team offers him like 22 million. I don't know though, because having a down year coming off that big injury, I don't know who's willing to take that. I don't know. I don't think, like, the Mets are probably they'd be kind of crazy not to try to re-sign Alonso the postseason that he's having. I mean, he's doing things right at the nick of time for a contract. Like it couldn't be working out better for him after a down year. But yeah, I don't know, like, how far, if he says yes, I'll take it. I don't know if you're ecstatic if you're a Brewers fan, because like I said, the injury history, he's getting up there in age. He can't play first base well. Like, I see it from both. Like, he's a leader though. He's a good clubhouse guy. He's a guy you want to have in your clubhouse. So I can see it from both sides. It's just like, it would be nice if he's like, you know what, I'll take 13 or 14. Like, you take a couple million off that sweetens the pot, but it's a player option. So if he elects to take it, that's what they have to pay him, from what I understand.
Yeah. No, and you're thinking about your money side of it, right? You're thinking about your money side of it. 18 million. What other first baseman are you going to grab out there for 18 million? Like, you're going to get younger, or you're going to go grab a aging veteran, right? Paul Goldschmidt is going to hit the free agent market. Are you going to shoot your shot at Paul Goldschmidt? Because I feel like he's going to drop a little bit on the contract side, but then you're splitting hairs. Are you going to take Rhys Hoskins off of a struggling year? Or are you going to take Paul Goldschmidt off a struggling year? You pick and choose there. Like, who do you want? Who do you like? It's one of those kind of deals for the Brewers right now. Honestly, it's a horse apiece, really. And for me, I'm bringing back Rhys Hoskins. I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't been bullish on this guy since he walked in, simply because I felt like midway through the season, I was like, I'm hoping he's going to find it here. But I'm also in the back of my head remembering this is a guy coming off injury. This is a guy did not play baseball all of last season there, and he's jumping back into it. I didn't expect this guy to go out there and start hitting 300. I didn't expect him to start hitting, 40 home runs, 50 home. Like I wasn't in that realm for me. Now, I really do think though, I really do. You give him a year. This last season, he struggled. I can tell you one thing. I know that guy's a gamer. I know he's a gamer. And I know all offseason, he's going to be fixing it. He's going to be figuring it out. He's going to go into next season with a different kind of mindset. And I guarantee you there's a guy who's going to figure it out. It's going to be Rhys Hoskins. That is just my bold take on Rhys Hoskins. So I got to be honest with you. I'm bringing him back just because I think he can be consistent. I really do. I think he can be consistent. I think he's going to get him. I think the average will go up a little bit there. He hits 250. It's solid. He hits 250 for me. I can live with that. He gives me 35 home runs, 250, 35 home runs, gets up close to like 90 to 100 RBIs. I'll take that and I'll walk with it. Like I can live with that all day long. So, I mean, Rhys Hoskins for me, I am taking him back next year simply because I think he can be that guy. I really do. I think he can be that guy for the Brewers once again. It will be tough, right? After a season like this, it's going to be tough for a lot of Brewer fans to want him back. But for me, there's a ton of upside there. There's a ton of upside. I don't think the career of Rhys Hoskins is done, and I'd hate to see him go somewhere else and all of a sudden start lighting the world on fire because that would suck. That would suck if we were like, we really don't want you. You should just take your money somewhere else. And then all of a sudden he lights the world on fire with the Cubs or something. Like that would ruin my day. That would ruin my day there.
Well, what if I throw you two names? And this is just a joke. I know you won't like these names, but I pulled up the free agency, the top quote unquote free agents in this year off season. I mean, what do you think about a guy, Anthony Rizzo at 35 years old? Now that should be cheaper. That shouldn't be 18 million, but no. And then you got Yuri Gurriel, who's 41 years old.
I wanted him a couple years ago.
You got your former stud right there, Rowdy Tellez.
Bring him back.
He'll be cheaper. I gotta imagine
he got cut before he could make $250,000. Like that's the Pirates for you. That's the cheap Pirates for you. I thought the Brewers were cheap. That's cheap. I said the Brewers should have signed him up for a game just to get him his bonus. Just give him his bonus. Like nice.
How old? I'll ask you this one. How old do you think? Justin Turner is? This surprises me.
He's like 37 or 38, isn't he?
He's 40.
Whoa.
And he's on the free agent. I mean, he's a guy Kyle can speak. He was on the Sox for a little bit. He's like, I would pick him up as like a bench, like a guy that can fill it. Like your Jake Bauers type, or not Jake. Who was that? The guy that played for the Yankees on the Brewers? Like he's just kind of a platoon.
Jake Bauers was with him.
Yeah, like a platoon guy like that. I mean, I would take as long as it's not crazy money, right? Because he's 40 years old, but he's like a productive 40-year-old player. Like he'll still go out and hit you. Probably 15 bombs or something. Like you give him enough playing time, he'll figure it out, you know?
Yep. Oh, I agree. My wife's dad's tuning into the show. He says no to Rowdy. He's quite adamant that we do not bring Rowdy Tellez back. I was bringing him back for one game, Dave. One game. That's it. Just one game to get him his bonus, and then he could walk back out the door. All right. It was
one-day contract.
Fine. Yeah. It was gonna be fine. I didn't really want him back. It's just he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. You gotta have those nice. Aaron, let's talk about something that's not so nice though. Let's talk about something that's not so nice. Let's talk about a nice thing first. The Yankees lose to the Royals. That was great. That was fantastic. The Royals finally figured out a win. The Tigers get a win over the Guardians. Love that. 3-run bomb there in the top of the ninth by Kerry Carpenter. Wow, that was exciting. That was a great call by BA there, too. Brian Anderson on the call out there for that Tigers game. But let's talk about the not good, Aaron, and that is those Phillies right now. I'm telling you, the curse of the Brewers is still alive. The curse of the Brewers is still alive. Whoever beats the Brewers in the playoffs or is going to the World Series. That's just, I'm sorry. I'm just sorry for that. But the Phillies, man, they got dismantled today, Aaron. What is going on with them Phillies out there right now?
So in this series, if you look at it, Schwarber's solo home run in the first inning of game 2? Yeah, game 2. That was the only run scored prior to the 5th inning by the Phillies in this entire series. So they're playing from behind, like in every single. I mean, they played from behind the entire game today. I mean, it was just, if I turned, it got to 6-0. I was like, I had enough of this. Like this is, I'm getting too angry at this where it's not healthy. Been there, done that so many times. It's like almost inbred in the blood of a Philadelphia sports fan that you're going to experience massive choking. So it's another example of that. I didn't see today really. I mean, Nola always makes me nervous. People like Aaron Nola in the Phillies fan base is like, who's a Packer that like. I mean, I guess everybody pretty much universally loved Favre, but like he's a guy you're on the Aaron Nola bandwagon or you're like I never trust the guy. I'm on the opposite. I like the guy. I want him to do well. He's a good dude. It seems like. But he will never even be close to Wheeler. And I know Wheeler is great, but it's like, it feels like, oh, here comes Mr. Aaron Nola is Jekyll and Hyde. That's what he is. He's one time he'll give you a great start. The next time he's Stroman. He's Marcus Stroman. That's what essentially he is. Because one day you'll be like, oh my God, this guy's unhittable. The next day he gets rocked. And I mean, excuse me, he only gives up 4 today, but it was just like he had traffic on almost every inning. I mean, he comes out of the game with, I think it was bases loaded when he came out. He was definitely on the hook for 2 runs at the very least of that. So, he leaves the game only giving up 2, but then those extra 2 runs scored because it was just a bad situation to come into at that point for Kerkering, which I was a little bit surprised they went to Kerkering, which I don't know. I mean, he did okay, but Alvarado then struggled. Like it was ugly, but. Yeah, I mean, they're 1 game away from elimination once again. I thought this was a game that you got to win this one because now it's like you're up there in New York regardless for the next one. So it was a hostile environment like you knew it would be. I mean, those fans are clamoring for some success. They haven't seen a World Series in quite some time. I was really taken back by the fact they couldn't hit Sean Mania at all. Like that blew my mind to me. You take it back to the Brewers series. I mean, he had 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs against the. I mean, that's decent. But then the game before that against the Brewers, 3 2/3, 7 hits, 5 earned runs. So the potential to kind of get on that guy is there, and it was not happening. I think a lot of the at bats were really bad again. It was swinging out of balls out of the zone. I have no idea. Trey Turner should be arrested for highway robbery. The guy's done absolutely nothing in the postseason, like in my mind. I'd have to look at what he's hitting, but yeah, what's Kyle? The Mets are a confident team.
The Mets are a confident team. There's something to be said about being a wild card team and playing while the other teams are in a bye sit for a couple of days.
I agree. I just think you got to be, if you're the Phillies, like I just don't want to hear I don't know what the excuse is this time, like, oh, we ran into a hot team. Okay. Beat them. Like your job is to beat them, I don't put this, like I said, I don't put it entirely on Nola. It's this pitching stat. You're getting squeezed from like inning 1 to 5 every time you go out there. Cause the offense is doing nothing until the late innings. And really it was only game 2 that they did that. So yeah, I mean they're going to face elimination now in game 4, and I don't know, it's pretty crazy. Like I was really upset while it was going on, and now I'm kind of like a little bit just taking it easy. But like as soon as they run out there on the field again, I'll be like, well, you got to win. Like it's literally like it's now or never. So. It's surprising, yes. Like Kyle said, the Mets are the hottest team, but I still think the Phillies are the better team. I know it's not really who's better, it's who's hotter sometimes. Like you saw the Giants rip through the NFC when they were 9-7 with some of those years and go on and win the Super Bowl, which was no one saw coming, but they got hot at the right time and it all panned out. But yeah, I as much as I buy into like the whoever beats the Brewers going to the World Series, I still think, like, especially if it's the Dodgers, I think they will eat the Mets for lunch. I have that feeling. Could be wrong there too. I mean, this Mets series did concern me going in because, like Kyle said, they're hot. I don't want to bring it up, but that Alonso home run really like that's one of those like signature moments in there if they go on a run and they're playing with house money basically. It's just today was like you can't get your ass kicked like that's just embarrassing. Like it feels like when the Phillies lose in the postseason, it's either they don't hit or they get shelled, and today was both. So
it definitely was a mess. It definitely was a mess there. And I mean, you got Suarez going tomorrow for you. Ranger Suarez is going, but he's going up against Jose Quintana there. You know, the crazy thing about Pete Alonso, he has 3 home runs in the postseason, all to the opposite field. And you look at the pitches that guys are throwing them. It's the Devin Williams pitch. You look at the Aaron Nola pitch. They're all on that outer half. They're all hard stuff out there. The changeup by Devin Williams still surprises me. It still tears me apart and stabs me in the heart all over again. Like that's just, I mean, a heck of a swing. But I thought that was an interesting status. 3 home runs in the postseason, all to right field by Pete Alonso there. It's just something to see. But Mets, Phillies, we'll square off tomorrow. 4:08 start on that one for FS1. We're going to see 4 games tomorrow, and action should be a good one. Guardians, Tigers, they're going to be playing in game 3 of that series, tied 1-1. Phillies facing elimination, 2-1 there. We have the Yankees and Royals in game 3, and then we will see the Dodgers and Padres. We're watching that game right now. That's just a slugfest. It's 6-5 right now in the bottom of the third. I mean, that is just absolutely nuts what's going on in that game. But some great stuff across the board there. But I want to switch gears here. I want to look at the Packers situation right now with Romeo Doubs. So Romeo Doubs has met with Matt LaFleur, and we now know that he will return to practice on Wednesday. We're going to see him back on the practice field on Wednesday for the Packers. That's good news. I would say that's good news for the Packers. But it also, this whole situation has me a little bit concerned, I guess. You got this youth in the Packers room, but you got a guy like Romeo Doubs who I didn't see it coming, but he comes out and now he's all worried about his passes. He's worried about catches. He's worried about, usage in a game, everything like that. It makes it kind of nervous for a guy like that. And now you worry about, and I don't know if it's just me, and that's what I wanted to bring up there was, I don't know if it's just me. But when a guy comes in like that and he's like, I'm not going to practice with you guys because I'm not getting the ball enough. I'm not doing this enough. You're not giving me the ball. So I'm not going to show up to practice. I'm just going to stay home. I'll tuck my tail between my legs, stay home, and I'm just going to cry on the couch about it. And you don't really tell anybody what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. And now you go and you talk to the head coach. What is Matt LaFleur like sitting in that room? It's like, if I was Matt LaFleur, I would have said, okay, dude, like you're in your about second year now. I just want you to know, like, you have no leverage here. Like, we're not going to trade you. You're either going to ride the pine at home or you're going to play. Like, you get to pick and choose here. But if you don't play, your stock's not going to go up. You're not going to look any better. So that next contract you want to get ain't coming. So there's no trade scenario right now for Romeo Doubs. I want to get that one out of the way right away. There's no trade scenario for Romeo Doubs. He's staying in Green Bay because the biggest thing I thought of when I saw people saying, well, we should trade Romeo Doubs, the biggest thing I thought of was, you do not want to set that kind of tone in the locker room. That's like, if Jair Alexander all of a sudden one day is like, I really don't want to play here anymore, so I'm going to sit out of practice, and then they'll just trade me anyways. That's what I want. You don't want to set that tone. You want to let them know, like, hey, you're under our control right now. You don't want to show up to practice. You don't want to play. Fine. Stay at home. That's simple. It's that simple. And teams are going to see that. They're going to be like, I don't want this guy. Why would I want that guy in my room? Because all of a sudden one day he's going to be like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm going to tuck my tail between my legs and I'm going to go home. Like, it's just one of those things for me. So anyways, Romeo Doubs comes back to practice, but I'm looking at this from a teammate perspective now, because you might have talked to Matt LaFleur, which is all fine and dandy, right? You went and talked to Matt LaFleur, but now you got to go and talk to Jordan Love. Now you got to go and talk to Josh Jacobs and Christian Watson and Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks. You got to look every single one of them guys in the eye and say, I'm sorry. Like, I messed up. I messed up big time. Like, I want to be a part of this. The thing for me, and I'm going to flip it over to you to know your take on this whole situation with Romeo Doubs. They're coming back to practice and everything. But the biggest thing for me is what I thought was so great about the Packers was it seemed like this wide receiver core was a lot of talent in there, but they didn't care if they got the ball or not. But now I'm looking at it as Romeo thinks he's an individual. So what's important to Rome, right? Does he want to win, right? Because you want to play winning football. You want everybody to be on the same page. Like, hey, I don't have to get 20 catches that day, right? If Reed has 11 catches for 130 yards and Romeo Doubs has 5 catches for 15 yards, but he has 2 touchdowns, who did more in that game? Well, they both contributed to the win. Jaden Reed got you down the field. Rome scored the touchdowns. So it's not always the stats in the book. And that's what concerns me with Romeo Doubs now is he more about winning? Is he more about the team aspect of this game? Or is he more about himself? That's what my biggest worry is with Romeo Doubs. And if I'm looking at him as a teammate right now, that's where I'm looking at him as. So Aaron, where are you seeing this with Romeo Doubs right now? Are you in that same mindset as a teammate right now? You're like, I don't know about this guy right now. He's got a lot of things he's got to do to gain my trust again.
Oh, it's tough, right? And like what you said, I'm not gonna say see. It's like I don't know how to real like. Okay, if you're the Packers, right? Do you because you want to de-escalate these type of situations too? Because like if this becomes a recurring problem, like you do want to trade him at that point. Like I totally get what you're saying. Like you don't want to just as soon as somebody's unhappy, okay, trade him because then it's like how many guys in the NFL are not happy about how many catches they're getting or playing time? Like a lot of them. I mean, how many second string guys feel like they're better than the guy in front of them? Probably most of them. Like you gotta, and you kind of have to think that way because it's a competitive environment. If you're like, oh man, I'll never be as good as Travis Kelce. Well, you never will be. You know what I mean? Like you have to kind of go in there like I'm gonna prove to everybody that I'm as good as this guy or I'm as good as that guy or whatever it might be. So I totally get what you're saying. It's just like if he's become like you don't want him to become a distraction in any way. So in that way, like if it becomes too much, I would trade him. But like you said, you're walking a fine line because it's like how long does that go on till you're like, okay, I'll take a 6th-round pick for him just to get him out of here. Because I mean we saw that with certain guys in this league that like Antonio Brown goes to the Raiders, doesn't even play, gets traded. Like I'm not saying he's Antonio Brown, but it's like you never know. But with the whole I mean, you got to think he's walking back into that huddle, and they're like, "Come on, man! Like, really? Like, because like, especially if you're like Josh Jacobs, like, not that Jordan Love's not a veteran, but like Josh Jacobs is like more of a veteran, and he's probably thinking, dude, this young kid's a clown. Like, he thinks he can just come in, take time, leave, go talk to the head coach. Like, you got to prove that you deserve to be here. Like, it's just like if we went to our jobs and we're like, we're not, I don't really feel like doing it this week. And then come back the next week. Hey boss, I'm doing good. Right. Or like make me involved. It's like, well, you got to prove your worth. You got to prove that you belong here. So as a 2nd-year guy, I mean, he's taking an interesting route. I get it. Everything's a mental game with stuff like this, because if you're Romeo Doubs, you probably don't think you're necessarily in the wrong. I mean, you probably have to apologize just to make things, make everything smooth for everybody there and not be, a cancer. But he in his heart of hearts, he's probably thinking, give me the ball. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. But it's one of those things you just got to go out there and do it. And like, maybe this will be good for him, but to me, this is one of those things that either makes or breaks you, because now you're under a microscope even more. You're disposable. You have to be the guy that steps up and proves why you're the guy, or why you can be, a key facet in this offense.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And my mistake before, I said 2, it's 3. Year 3 technically is going into now. But you look at the production over the years. 2022, he had 42 catches for 424 yards or 425 yards. And then in 2023, 59 catches for 674 yards. The production has gone up year after year. But Romeo, like we talked about the other day on the show here, Romeo's got to realize you had Malik Willis for a couple weeks there. The offense changed. The scheme changed. It wasn't all about you. It was about running the football. It was about trying to win games while Jordan Love was out. Now Jordan Love is back. Now you got Reed going. Now you got Wicks going. You're going to get Watson back. Doubs is going to get his. He's going to get his. One day it's going to be Doubs. The next day it's going to be Reed. The next day it's going to be Wicks. That was the perfect part about this Packers wide receiver core that I think is starting to get away from that. Is we thought that was going to be the equation, and now it's like, okay, if we don't get Doubs enough catches, he's going to get upset. Reed doesn't seem like he cares. Wicks doesn't care right now. He's dropping passes anyway, so he doesn't care too much right now, and Watson's injured. So you got rid of that problem there with Watson for at least right now. But these other guys don't seem like they care, whereas Doubs is like, it's a worry. It's a worry. And now you got to worry about that for the continuation of this season until you finally see it on the field there, the effort, the passion, everything like that, where he's telling people, I don't care how many catches I have in this game. I did this in the run game. I was blocking in the run game. I was doing this downfield, the simple things throughout a game, right? That's what I'm looking for out of Doubs moving forward here. He's got to do the simple things for me right now. He's got to do the simple things to gain back the trust of Jordan Love. He's got to do the simple things to gain back the trust of, other guys in his wide receiver room like Jaden Reed. You mentioned Josh Jacobs there, the offensive line, the head coach, Matt LaFleur, everybody. He's got to do those little things now to gain that trust back from this locker room, because I feel like he lost a little bit of it after that there. So not like we're overly concerned with it, but it's definitely something to worry about there. And Kyle said there in the comments, you don't want young guys thinking about their next contract. That is 100%. That is 100% it right there. And that seems to be, to me, that was my biggest takeaway from him not getting the stats that he wanted. Wasn't simply because, well, he didn't come out and say, well, I know I can do better than what these other guys are doing. It really, when he did it and how he did it, made it seem like, well, if I don't get the amount of catches that I think I should, these other teams or this next contract won't be as big because I'm just going to be an average guy to the eyes of the NFL. That's where I'm looking at too. So I agree with you there, Kyle. You don't want these guys worried about that next contract. That's never what you want, because otherwise it'll be a mess. It'll definitely be a mess out there. You want them focused on what's in front of them right now and what the potential of this Packers team is. Yes, right now they're playing like a team that is good, that could be great. I've been watching this team and it's like they have the pieces. I think they can be great, but they're playing like a good team that's playing good right now who could be great. So you have the formula. You just got to put it all together right now. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take the defense stepping up, because we've seen this defense so far this year. Rashawn Gary has struggled. He's down to 10.5% on his pressure rate right now, which is a career low for Rashawn Gary. So he's definitely on the decline right now. Hopefully Rashawn Gary in this defensive front, because it's not just Rashawn Gary, it's the defensive front in total. We like to put a microscope on guys who are the big money guys, right? The bigger contract. We like to put that microscope on that guy. Say, look at the Bengals. I can't get over listening to Chris Canty on the morning show on ESPN, because he likes to rip on Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow threw an interception with 3 minutes to go in the game against the Ravens, and he didn't do enough to help him win that game. He threw 5 touchdowns. He threw for over 300 yards. What else do you want Joe Burrow to do? He threw 1 interception in that game. The defense gave up 41 points. The defense gave up 41 points at the end of the day. Like, your defense lost you that game. So I get when people put microscopes on your highest paid guys, right? Rashawn Gary's making over 100 mil. You're gonna put the microscope on him. He's supposed to be putting up the stats for you, but you also have to have the pieces come around him to get better too. And that's looking at the rest of that defensive front for the Packers right now. That has to get better moving forward there. So we're gonna get more into the Packers on Friday there, the weekend preview show. We're going to get into the Packers matchup there with the Cardinals coming up this weekend. We got lots to get into with the weekend preview show there. Badgers, everything in between there. Hopefully we're talking about a Phillies win, and we're talking about more Phillies baseball on Friday there. Otherwise, Aaron is going to come unglued on the Friday show there. So we see in New York, and it makes me laugh. I shouldn't even say that. It doesn't make me laugh. It actually makes me feel bad. It actually makes me feel bad for Robert Saleh, because Aaron Rodgers got another head coach fired. Mike McCarthy, now Robert Saleh. We thought it was Mike McCarthy's fault. Now we think it's Robert Saleh's fault. My biggest thing, I look at the Jets. The Jets' defense is good. Like, they have a good defense. Their defense ain't bad. Their offense stinks. Robert Saleh is a defensive head coach. So where's your offense? What's going on in your offense? Why don't we go ask Nathaniel Hackett what's happening in the offense right now? Why don't we go ask Nathaniel Hackett why Green Bay got rid of him? Why don't we go figure out that scenario first before we go and fire Robert Saleh just because Aaron Rodgers doesn't like him anymore? It honestly, it irritates me, because I don't believe they played the situation right. I don't think Robert Saleh should have gotten fired, but he did. So Aaron Rodgers gets him fired. Now Aaron Rodgers, Nathaniel Hackett. Well, Aaron Rodgers is the head coach of the team now. right? He's got to be the head coach at this point. Let's just see who he brings in now, because he always had Cobb. Cobb was his guy to get the boys ready to go when he didn't show up to training camp. So Randall Cobb's still out there somewhere. Maybe he's coming to join the coaching staff there. We'll get Mercedes Lewis to come over. We'll probably get Devontae Adams to come over. We'll get Jordy Nelson to come out of retirement. We'll get all the boys. We'll get all the boys in New York to take care of business over. I mean, Aaron Rodgers he's just I don't even know. I don't even know what to say anymore. What are our thoughts? What are our thoughts on the Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh now getting fired in New York?
As much as people say,
yeah, Kyle's 100% correct. Robert Saleh threw 3 interceptions against the Vikings. He threw 3 interceptions against the Vikings.
He suited up. I saw him put a helmet on and everything. No, I mean, as like everybody, people in social media will say, I don't feel bad for this guy. He's a millionaire. Well, first of all, these coaches don't make nearly as much as like a quarterback. You might as well be on Wall Street if you're a quarterback. I mean, you're making 30, 40, 50 million now. It's crazy to me. Like, some people will say they deserve that, whatever. Like, that's a different conversation for a different day. But Robert Saleh walked into, I know we keep this family friendly, so I'm just going to use the S word. He walked into a flaming hot ball of shit. I mean, that's what the Jets are. When he came there, it was just, I mean, what can go wrong was going to go wrong. And like, they had no defense. They have no defense. They've, under him, they've had decent defenses, ever since, maybe the second year, they were not that great, but ever since, like, he's made them a good defensive team. And like, that's not easy to do. People think that's like, oh, you get a couple guys. Like, the Eagles can't figure out how to play. They don't know what defense is half the time. So I know firsthand that, like, you get a good defensive coach, you try and hold on to at least the schematics and stuff like that. Like, you should cherish that. Excuse me. Cherish that. Now, the Jets have ruined quarterbacks before Robert Saleh got there too. Like, you look at who was it? Mark Sanchez was probably never going to be great, but like, how many quarterbacks have they gone through? Darnold and Zach Wilson, like, there's a million names. So offensively, the Jets have just always had a challenge at quarter. They're kind of like the Bears. They can't hit on like a star quarterback. They just can't draft one. They can't develop one, whatever it might be. Yeah, they could have kept Zach. They could have, but I mean, and then I don't know if you saw this. A report came out that he didn't get to address the team, so he like went full, went rage, right? Like, he just went rogue, and security had to like force him out of the building, which I respect. Like, I like Saleh. I really do. I like the guy. I think he's a no BS type of guy. Like, he'll get in your face. Like, I can appreciate that, where some coaches I think are a lot more softer than Saleh. I like his style. Now, from like a game management perspective, I haven't watched the Jets enough to say, oh, maybe he doesn't handle the clock right, or like, we see Mike McCarthy you saw it with the Packers, but more notably, I would say in Dallas, like, he can't handle a clock. Like, it's just like, oh my goodness, panic. Like, oh, call timeout here. Oh, and it's just like, it's madness. Like, it's chaos. I don't know about Saleh enough in game management, but like you guys said, Kyle, in the chat and trades, the fact that like he's a defensive head coach, Rodgers guy, the offensive, what's his name again? We're talking about that.
Hackett, Nathaniel Hackett. Yeah.
Like, why? And the thing is, excuse me, if you're going to fire Saleh, why are you not going to fire Hackett on the same day? Because Aaron Rodgers told you not to. That's the only reason. Like, because this team's like we talked about it, teams 2 and 3. I think that's below their expectations. I mean, Rodgers is not the savior that they like. This is a typical Jets. What can go wrong will go wrong. You bring in Rodgers. Rodgers will be the answer. It was Zach Wilson that was the problem. Rodgers doesn't look like the answer. They're 2 and 3. He's throwing more, picks every week. Like, he's struggling. He's not playing good. The offense looks horrible. The defense is still keeping them in games. Like, that's what it is. So, I mean, I kind of hope they crash and burn for doing this, because they fire him in a season where it's far from over. I mean, they've had far catastrophic starts than this. It's just all the way around. Like, I can get why you're not happy with the results that Saleh's brought to you, but why not try and go get a good offensive coordinator? You're probably handcuffed because Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett are like a 2-in-1 deal. And like if you get Rodgers, you get Nathaniel Hackett, and 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers is not 40-year-old Tom Brady. I'm sorry, he's just not. Like he doesn't look the same. He doesn't like move around like when he was on the Packers. He could kind of move around throughout the pocket pretty smoothly. He doesn't. It's just the sky is falling in New York for the Jets, and this doesn't solve the problem. Like this is putting a Band-Aid on the problem. I mean, who knows? Their defense might actually get worse now, and then they have problems on both sides of the ball, which would be kind of funny, but it's a mess. It's chaos.
I mean, I'm looking at the stats right now. You look at them on the offensive side of the ball right now, they're sixth to last, 286 yards per game right now on the offensive side of the ball. And then you look at the defense right now, second to best in the league right now, yards per game given up. So you look at both and wow. And I'm telling you what, if Saleh doesn't get a job somewhere, the Packers could take him on as a defensive consultant. He could just come in and be a defensive consultant because guess what? He was Matt LaFleur's best man at his wedding. So Matt LaFleur, Saleh, they get along pretty well. So he might come along there. I saw a crazy hypothetical, and that was Bill Belichick going to the Jets now, being the head coach of the Jets. Wouldn't that just be crazy, right? This is a guy, New England Patriots guy, who hated the Jets, thought the Jets were terrible. Can you imagine if he walks into that building? I don't think Aaron Rodgers would know what to do. I really don't, because Bill would either whip him into shape or Rodgers would leave. One of the two. He'd either whip him into shape or Rodgers would leave, or they'd fire Bill Belichick on the first day, because I don't think those two would click very well, but that would be awesome. That'd be awesome.
I'm here for it. I hope that happens, kind of.
I don't know what other head coaches, really out there. Like, you got Vrabel still out there somewhere. He's still out there somewhere. Who else do you got?
Is it one of those deals? Are they just going to do it? Imagine this. Aaron Rodgers is like, you make Nathaniel Hackett the interim head coach, because we saw how good that worked out in Denver, right? Like Nathaniel Hackett, Denver coach, horrible. Like they couldn't be worse. The team was giving up 65 points a game. It felt like they couldn't score a lick on offense. Like that would just be like, and see, I have a buddy who's a Jets fan, and like I don't even know what this. To be positive and be a Jets, that's like an oxymoron. Like it's you finally get your guy, right, the savior, and now look what happened. Like it's just no matter what they do, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No, I agree. And you know what? I've always said it with Nathaniel Hackett. I was never a fan of his, and I always thought that Rodgers kind of camouflaged what Nathaniel Hackett was. I thought he always camouflaged him in Green Bay, kind of made people not look his way because Rodgers was so good. He had Adams. He had all these weapons. He was able to do things on the football field. He was able to scramble. Now he can't scramble. Now Rodgers is a one-dimensional quarterback who doesn't have that ability anymore, which I think has taken a toll on what Nathaniel Hackett can do with Rodgers. So now, like Kyle said, there's a rumor is Saleh was prepared to fire Hackett, but Rodgers didn't want that. Well, of course he doesn't want that. That's his buddy. He needs to keep his buddies in the room. That's how it is with Rodgers there. And Kyle also said that Bill should take the job and quit a day later like he did back in the day. That'd be funny. That'd be a Jets way right there. That'd be a Jets way right there. Just as he should come back just for the Patriots game. He should be the head coach of the Jets for the Patriots game. And when they beat the Patriots, like Patriots fans will go berserk out there, the NFL world will blow up, and then he quits. Then he just walks away. Like, I beat the Patriots, I'm done. I'm done out there.
He should take them like to the playoffs and then quit before 30 minutes before the playoff game. He's like, I'm out. Like,
I'm done with this. I'm done. I did my job. I got you here now. Rodgers, you're the head coach now. You take over. I'm done with
Rodgers, when the team's on defense, Rodgers will have the headset. Like he'll be like LeBron. Like LeBron's the coach. Like he's yelling at Frank Vogel. Like I'm actually the coach. So get out of my way. So then Rodgers will be like, you know what, Nathaniel Hackett, you're not the head coach either. Step aside. I'm the coach. I'm the quarterback. Like, oh my. Who knows, right? Like, I don't know who they're going to promote with. I don't know who their DC is off the top of my head, but like, they're not going to promote Hackett, right? Like, that would just be
If it's up to Rodgers, if it's up to our boy Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be head coach by committee, and it's going to be Hackett, and then it's going to be Rodgers. And like I said, he's just going to bring in random guys. He's going to bring in random guys to fill out his coaching staff there. He's going to have Cobb. He's going to have Mercedes Lewis. He might bring in guys like Clay Matthews to teach the defense something. It's just going to be weird. It's going to be Packers joining the coaching staff for the Jets.
Maybe who was before Mike McCarthy? Was it Holmgren, right? Mike Holmgren?
Yes, I believe so.
He's got to be up there in age. Like, he was old. He was older before.
Can you? The Cowboys fire Mike McCarthy, and Aaron Rodgers wants him back for the Jets. He's like, just bring him up here. I want McCarthy. I want Mike McCarthy back up in the north here. I want him in for the Jets there. That'd be a table turn kind of thing right there. Kyle said that they promoted the defensive coordinator to interim. Who is the defensive coordinator for the Jets? I don't know that one. I don't know who the defensive coordinator for the Jets is.
Jeff Umbrich.
That's a good question.
Jeff Umbrich. Yulbrich. Yulbrich, I think.
All right. Now we know. We know.
I have no idea on the backs. Never even heard the name. So
Kyle just doesn't want. He just really doesn't want Bill Belichick take the job. That's why he's trying to promote this other defensive coordinator there. He's just telling us he doesn't want Bill Belichick to beat up on his Patriots. That's what I'm getting out of this there. So let's flip script. Here. Let's get into the NFL standings here before we wrap up for the night. I want to look at the divisions as a whole right now, and then I want to look at who we think or what division we think is the best, which one we think is the worst, which one we think is up in the air right now, and then we're going to talk a little bit of Eagles because Aaron wants to talk about his Eagles coming off that bye week there. So AFC East, we got the Bills up top, 3-2. The Jets are in the race yet at 2-3. They're still in this race right now at 2-3. We got the Dolphins at 2-3. They got to win over the Patriots. I mean, nothing to write home to mama about. And then we got the Patriots at 1-4 on the bottom of that division right now. Any surprises in there, I guess? I mean, Tua's been out, so we can't really say that the Dolphins should be like, if Tua's in there, I expect the Dolphins to be better than what they are right now, but Tua's been out, so it's kind of what you expected with question marks in that quarterback room. The Jets, we're talking about the Jets right now. That is just a cluster right now. And part of that too, they have no offensive line. So you have no offensive line. It's just terrible. Rodgers is getting murdered in the backfield, and I mean, it's just a disaster out there. The Bills, I mean, surprisingly, Josh Allen's playing like Superman. I mean, that's the nickname they give him. He is playing like that because he's got zero weapons up there and he's making it happen. So you love to see it there. Josh Allen doing something. And then the Patriots, Drake May is going to get a start. I saw on Kyle's TikTok. That's Kyle in the chat there. I saw it on his TikTok that Drake May was announced as the starter for the Texans. It is great that his first NFL start will be a loss. So I'm grateful for that, Kyle, there. But Aaron, any surprises in that AFC East right now?
To the promised land, if not, yeah. Kyle, I hate this. I mean, I don't want to curse it because if I say he's not going to be good, then he'll turn around and be great. So I'm just gonna leave my comments to myself on that one. But yeah, I mean, the Bills, everybody's like, they're 3-0 now. They dropped 2 in a row. Now, do they even out? Right? Are they like a little bit above 500 team? I think they're better than that. I mean, like you said, Josh Allen's playing at an elite clip. He's got 8 touchdowns, 0 picks on the year, which is like, pinch me if I'm dreaming, because that's like last year he's throwing at, you get an interception, you get it. It's like Oprah giving out cars. But this year he's definitely on a different. I mean, it's funny. Maybe Stephon Diggs was the problem. I don't know. But yeah, it's the Bills being on top. Not a shocker. I mean, I thought the Jets were like that wild card. I always said, though, it's like, if you don't have an offensive line, you don't have a team. Like, you don't have an offense. And here we go with the Jets. Still didn't fix the offensive line. You got 40-year-old Rodgers back there. That's just a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for injury, really, is what it is. And then the Dolphins, I guess no one could say, we saw Tua going down and, early in the season. If he was healthy, I think they're right there with the Bills because they're 2-3, and he's been out 2 or 3 games now. So I mean, they're at least not out of things by any means. I mean, I don't see Drake May pulling the Patriots out of, to like win the division this year. We've seen crazier things, but maybe we'll see what he has. I'm not like, I have no idea how he's going to be. So yeah, I mean, I guess this division's kind of shaping up. I'd like to see at least the Dolphins and or the Jets kind of give the Bills at least a run. I don't want them to just run away with this division, but it's kind of after the Bills, it's kind of like you don't really have that much.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you just said there. I mean, the Bills are the top, and then after that, you got the Jets with defense. You got the Dolphins. If they get Tua back, I mean, that team is gonna. I think they'll be fine. I think the Dolphins will be fine if they get Tua back, but it's a question of if they do, when they do, and how well he plays when he comes back there. So that's something to keep an eye on. The AFC North right now, we got the Ravens at 3-2, the Steelers at 3-2, the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson stinks. Let's just get that over with right now. He shouldn't be in the league anymore. But they're at 1-4, and then we see the Cincinnati Bengals at 1-4 right now. I would say the biggest surprise to me in the AFC North has got to be the Bengals. And I shouldn't say it sucks for Joe Burrow in this offense because they have scored 140 points on the season, but they've allowed 145. You put that into comparison against some other division leaders like the Vikings, they've scored 139 points. You look at the Falcons, they've scored 111. You look at the Seattle Seahawks, they're winning that division, 122. The Bills have scored 142. The Ravens have scored 147. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs have scored 118. What's the difference? Oh, wait, the defense. The defense is holding teams. So what is the missing piece to this Bengals team that is, I mean, lift me for loss of words, is how bad the defense is. Kyle said it perfectly right there. The Bengals defense couldn't stop a Pop Warner team. I don't even think they could play flag football down at the rec park. I don't even think they could play flag football. That is how bad they are. This is a bad defense. I don't even know what happened. It's like the Bengals, they don't have the weapons, or Joe Burrow's hurt, or the defense sucks, or they can't kick, or it's always something with this Bengals team that holds them back. Right now, it's that defense, and 1-4. You want to feel bad for the Bengals, but it's hard to because you let this defense get that bad. They have zero playmakers on that defense right now. They can't get pressure on quarterbacks. They're allowing points left and right. They are just downright terrible on the defensive side of the ball, and you're wasting away Jamar Chase. You're wasting away your time with Higgins. You're wasting away time with everybody else because you can't put together a defense. The Bengals did this to themselves. Just look at the Steelers. 92 points scored, 73 allowed. You're looking at a good defense there with a subpar offense, and they're sitting at 3-2, and they're, sitting at top of the division. People are talking about them getting back into the playoffs with Justin Fields at the quarterback spot right now, and not a lot of playmakers on the offense. They have Najee Harris, like he's solid running back, and then they have Pickens. What else, right? Defense, DJ Watt. They have dogs on the defense there. So, I look at this division right now. It's a two-team race. It's a two-team race right now. I really, for Joe Burrow's sake and my sanity, I would love to see the Bengals make a run back at it. I think they can if their offense can score 100 points a game because the defense is still going to allow 100 points. But, I don't think the Bengals are going to climb because that defense won't get better. The Browns are going to suck forever. That's just it. They're going to suck forever because next they'll go sign Ben Roethlisberger or something like that to a contract, or they'll get Joe Flacco back after he's done making his magic. They'll get Joe Flacco back there. So, Aaron, what are we thinking? AFC North?
Yeah, got to get the jabs in on the Browns. That's oh man, that's
terrible. That is a terribly ran organization and forever will be.
It's just like you're watching, not that like Baker's won a Super Bowl, but you're watching him. He's had far more success since his trades went down. I would love to see the stat comparison of Baker and Deshaun. And I was a big, I tell you all the time, I was a huge Deshaun guy. After the scandal, it definitely took a blow to, no pun intended, but no, it took as far as just that put a damper on how I look at Deshaun Watson. So it's really an awful thing there in Cleveland, but yeah, I think Baltimore, everybody knew Baltimore after they started out, a couple of losses, they were going to get it together. They're too, Lamar is too good in the regular season. They're a consistent team. That's just what they do. I kind of question how good their defense is for the first time in a couple of years because I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see how that plays out. They haven't played outstanding so far on the defensive side of the ball. But then like the opposite, right? Like they have the high flying offense. They can just, score at will. I mean, Derrick Henry is like a godsend to them. But then Pittsburgh, like you said, I mean, I was watching that Pittsburgh Dallas game and like I was having a hard time staying awake. It was that boring because like nothing against Justin Fields, but like he hasn't yet figured it out. Like he's like a game manager, right? Like that's what he is to me. He's a game manager with some legs underneath him. I do root for the guy. I mean, I don't mind the Steelers as a team there. I if they're going to be good, that's fine. But it's I don't know. Defensively, can they hang on enough all year? I think their offense is going to have to get better just because their defense is going to be on the field more than half the game. But yeah, it's a 2-team race. And then the Bengals too. I mean, it's funny. I think their offensive line of the Bengals is not that good either. Like I don't know. I haven't seen them play. I've only saw them play twice. I think it was that Falcon where they were playing the Commanders, that primetime game. And then I saw a good bit of this Ravens Bengals game, and I was just like, man, like here we go again. Burrow's he has no time to throw. That's a problem. And then, like you said, their defense is so bad that, like Houston, like you were saying about the point differentials and stuff, Houston has only put up 102 points compared to the Bengals 140, but they're 4-1, and like they've given up 114, which isn't great, but they
they got tossed by the Vikings. The Vikings kicked the crap out of them. I think that was the game that did that.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I mean, I genuinely feel like I'm a huge Burrow fan. I like that guy is like he's elite to me. Like I don't care what the stat line, like the stuff he has to go through with that O-line, playing with no defense. Like Lamar's always had a defense. Steelers pretty much always have a defense. Burrow's never for that Super Bowl run. Their defense was like decent. I wouldn't even say like everybody hyped it up like it was amazing. It was decent. It had its moments, but like Burrow's a game like he's top notch to me, and it's a shame. I mean, this is what happens when you get like a top flight quarterback like that on a franchise that doesn't know how to. Like they were consistent under Andy Dalton, but it was like they lost every time they go to the playoffs. You lose first round. It's like there's something wrong there.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. And I was just thinking about them Steelers there, and I don't think that it's out of the realm that we will see Russell Wilson. I really do think we might see Russell Wilson get thrown in there. I did hear an interesting point there, and that was, I believe it was on one of the morning shows on ESPN. I don't know if it was Chris Canty that brought it up or if it was that Evan guy or whatever it was. But he brought it up and he said, once you flip from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson, you can't go back. It's over. You go from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson, you cannot put Justin Fields back in there simply because you just told everybody in that locker room that Justin Fields wasn't cutting it for you, and now you had to switch it up. So how do you go back to a guy then? How do you go back to that guy after you just benched him for a different guy? It's tough. It really is. And if you don't have the youth standpoint of it, like Bryce Young, I feel like you could throw him back out there for the Panthers. I wouldn't throw him back out there like they did the other day when he said the offensive line was hurt, so we're just going to throw Bryce Young back out there. Like, that's kind of a stupid statement to make in the first place. Like, that tells you how bad the Panthers are. But, I mean, it's one of those things now where I'm not putting it out of the realm to see Russell Wilson, but I think Tomlin's sitting there and he's like, we got to be careful. We got to be really careful. If we're going to do it, we have to be all in on Russell Wilson. We can't have second thoughts on it with Justin Fields out there. So definitely an interesting division right there. AFC South, pretty quick. I mean, the Texans, they're running it right now at 4-1. CJ Stroud's being CJ Stroud. You love to see. I mean, he's a great quarterback, fantastic quarterback. I think he's got the makings to be a star too. Just like we're talking with Joe Burrow, I think CJ Stroud has got that same potential. Nico Collins, that wide receiver down there for the Texans. I don't know how people don't have him listed as a star wide receiver yet. If you don't, I think you're nuts. Like, this guy over the past 2 seasons has been nothing but ridiculous for this Texans team. So gotta love what Texans are doing. Colts, Anthony Richardson's coming back. I really don't even think I would start Anthony Richardson. I would start Joe Flacco until Joe Flacco gives me a reason not to start Joe Flacco. Richardson has shown me nothing. I don't know if it's just me, but Richardson hasn't shown me enough that tells me that this guy is my future quarterback. Like, I really thought I had him on my fantasy team going into the year. I was like, this guy could be the guy. He's got the athleticism, he's got the speed, he's got the big arm. I'm like, watch this guy do his magic. And I'm watching him, and all he can throw is a deep ball. The mid-level crap, he can't do it. If I wanted a guy to sling it down the field 60 yards, sign me up for Anthony Richardson. If I wanted a guy to run around in the backfield and make something happen, sign me up for Anthony Richardson. If I needed somebody to hit a slant route for 10 yards, I could do it better than he can. I could just throw her out there and I could do it better than he can. So, I mean, I don't know. You have to put him in there like you're going to. But, I mean, Joe Flacco did everything above and beyond last week for the Colts there in that game. 3 touchdowns, over 300 yards. The dude has still got it. So, I don't know. I don't know where I'm at with that one. The Tennessee Titans, they're rebuilding. They're putting pieces in the room. They're not quite there yet. You know, I'm not giving up on Will Levis. I'm not saying I'm giving up on Will Levis. That offensive line is terrible yet. They got to do some work in there. They're still learning how to mesh. They got to get some weapons down there. And the defense is good. The defense for the Titans is good. I love the defense. So got to like that. And then the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence finally got a win. That surprises me. That really does. The year after they lost to the Chiefs, when I watched Trevor Lawrence in the tunnel and he was high-fiving everybody on the way in and everything like that, I was like, this dude is going to be on a mission next year. This dude is going to take the Jaguars to heights that they haven't been to in years. He is going to take them as far as he possibly can. It's been the opposite for me. It has been the opposite. I really did not see this team trending in that direction. There's been a lot of stuff that has gone wrong in that situation. So right now, I mean, the Texans are running away with the division, and I really don't see them looking back at any point there. Kyle says start Joe Flacco until the retirement home realizes that he's missing out there. We're making this guy seem like he turned in his walker on the sideline and got helped to cross the field. Like, that's what we're putting this guy out to be right now. So any thoughts on the AFC South there?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much right in lockstep with you. I mean, Houston, maybe I thought Houston might take a step, just a little miniature step back after last year, because it's like, they came out of nowhere last year. Like, yes, Stroud's a stud and Nico Collins is a stud, but it's like you never know. Going into year 2 with the same regime, like the wheels might fall off just a little bit. No, they haven't skipped a beat. I mean, they really and credit to them. Like they've turned a franchise around that was in pretty bad shape after the whole Deshaun situation. Then Deshaun leaves. Like then it's Davis Mills. Like you just don't know what you were going to get there in Houston for a couple of years. Like it wasn't looking good. And then like Stroud comes in and D'Amico Ryans comes in, and it's like the light bulb went on. Like it just works. So yeah, credit to them. I mean, I do have a soft spot for the Colts just because they have the Eagles' old offensive coordinator who I thought if I was at the NovaCare complex, I wouldn't have let walk out of the building. I would have said Sirianni, there's at the door. But without Richardson being a stud, like you said, it's kind of tough. I mean, this is a quarterback's league, and I mean, if Flacco can keep up the pace right now, I would say, like you said, why not keep him in there? Tennessee, I was a little bit like, I know they're missing a lot of pieces, but I was a little bit bullish on Tennessee. I thought they'd be better than what they are. I mean, I love Will Levis is probably my favorite quarterback to root for individually. Like the guy is he probably eats nails for breakfast. Like this guy is absolutely insane. He probably puts mayo on what was it? Mayo, right? That he just
mayo in his coffee.
Yeah, I mean, unsurprising.
Respect though. Respect.
I mean, you can't hate it.
No, I can't hate on that guy for that.
That might be disgusting, but he's the only one doing it. And then
if you have the cojones to do something like that on live television,
that's the type of guy I want. Yeah, I mean, he might be my backup, but I want that guy on my team. I'd rather have him on my sideline than the other one. But
and then a sandwich, he's always got the mayo. That's all I know. He's always got carrying a pack with him.
Right. Oh my goodness, yeah, the Jags. I mean, Dougie P is going to be lucky if they don't make the playoffs, which it's an uphill sled for them. I don't think he survives another year there. A couple of years ago, I've talked about them at length, that I was like, man, I'm expecting the Jags to be considered, consistently contending for that division. And they last year they fell apart down the stretch. This year is like colossal. Just no idea what's going on there. And like you said, Trevor Lawrence, like I don't know. I guess I give that guy longer leash than some, but I don't think it's like over for him. He hasn't like last season. I watched a lot of, a good bit of their games here and there, and like people are dropping passes left and right, and like I don't want to keep him off the hook completely. Like I'm not saying it's none of his fault, but then this year you watch him, it's like he looks like a deer in the headlights. Like I almost think he's the type of like we're seeing with Sam Darnold. Like he might need a change of environment to like show what he has. I'm not saying he's gonna be like some 3-time Super Bowl winning quarterback, but I don't. I think he can find more than what he has right now, and I'm not sold on the fact that he's a bust. Like everybody says, like, oh, you look at him and Daniel Jones, same stat line. Like I get that, but I don't know. I just feel like there's something there. It's just he can't. Maybe he's the type of guy he can't put it all together, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you there. We're running low on time. We're running low on time for the night, so we got to burn through some divisions real fast here. The AFC West, Kansas City Chiefs ain't looking back. Bo Nix is starting to look good with Denver Broncos right now. They're starting to find a little bit of something there between him and Sean Payton. So all hats off to him. I'm a Bo Nix fan. I hated when he was at Oregon. Or is he? Yeah, he was at Oregon. Yeah, he was at Oregon there. I hated him at Oregon, but outside of that, not a hater on Bo Nix. We see the Chargers at 2-2 right now. That's okay. I want to see Jim Harbaugh fail. That'd be my goal in life there, is to see him fail there. And the Las Vegas Raiders are a dumpster fire right now. Max Crosby and Devontae Adams are both looking for a package deal out of that mess right now. AFC West, I mean, the Chiefs are running away with it. Do we see anything else in there?
No, I'm actually a little surprised that the Raiders are this much of a dumpster fire, only because like what Antonio Pierce being that the interim head coach, and then he takes the head, they give him the head. Like I thought that was going to work better than it is now. I mean, they started out decent, but they're like you said, they're falling. Not good anymore. And then I mean the Chiefs 5-0, quote unquote 5-0 in my book, but it's they're running away with it already kind of deal. Broncos can keep pace if Bo Nix keeps this up. Now, as much of as you were a hater of Bo Nix in college, I'm like the biggest Sean Payton hater there is. So I hope he crashes. Like I'm kind of torn. I don't mind Bo Nix, but I don't like Sean Payton whatsoever. So I don't know. I don't want to see him win at all. But those Broncos throwbacks they wore this week are filthy. I will say that.
This is true. This is true. I always gave hats off to Bo Nix because he was one of the only top-rated quarterbacks going into a draft where he's not in a major bowl game and still plays. Like that game made me feel a little bit different about the guy. I was like, this guy's a gamer. He just wants to win. Like he doesn't care if he's going to get hurt. He's going to get hurt. He's going to go out there and play football. So it made me like the guy a little bit more. So Chiefs running away with it. Raiders, they're a dumpster fire right now. The biggest thing I would say to the Antonio Freeman is, you look at when interim head coach comes in, the players kind of rally around him. They're all excited. We're going to win this game for our coach. Now it's technically like second half of that year, I guess you could say there. The team's kind of like we already went through the rallying around this coach. Now he's our coach. Now it's different, right? We always say it around quarterback stuff like that. Like teams will rally around a player and different things like that. It's the same here, I think, too, with the Raiders. Is they finally came back down to earth right there, and well, most of your stars won out, so that's definitely not great there. The NFC South right now. We see the Falcons 3-2. We see the Buccaneers 3-2. Saints at 2-3, and the Panthers at 1-4. The Panthers are going to be the bottom dwellers for the rest of the season. That's a dumpster fire out there. Saints, they're better than expected. I'm gonna be honest with you. They're better than expected right now. That defense is still pretty good for them New Orleans Saints down there, and they held with the Kansas City Chiefs there. It did not help that Carr went out with injury there. They threw in some backup quarterback I've never heard of, and we're trying to make a comeback late there. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield is still doing good things down there with Tampa Bay right now. Looking at their defense, been playing well, good enough, right? The offense is playing good enough right now. 3-2, not bad. Falcons 3-2. Kirk Cousins is doing good things with that team. The defense has struggled for the Falcons a little bit so far this season. We'll see how that transpires moving forward here. So anything with that NFC South right now?
I'm kind of surprised that the Falcons are 3-2. I mean, I didn't know what our guy Kirk Kirko Chains, as they call him.
Kirk Moneybags Cousins.
I didn't know how that would all go coming off the injury and things like that. But he's played good enough, right? I'm not saying he's lighting the world on fire there, but he's playing good enough. If I'm rooting for somebody, I'm rooting for Baker as much as not a Bucks guy. Brady kind of ruined that for me, but those two teams, I just think the Saints will phase out eventually. I have that feeling. I don't know. They might be competitive, up until like week 12, 13, 14, and then not be that team. Everybody was like, they start out red hot and everybody's, oh, look at this, now look, they've dropped 3 in a row. That last game, like I do give them kind of a mulligan there too, because they hung with the Chiefs and Carr got hurt, but yeah, their defense is very good. I will give, and that's usually a Saints, like a staple of a Saints team. But yeah, I don't know. Like the Falcons have playmakers. It's just like, to me, I think Tampa's a better team, but I guess they are comparable. It's like a very even two teams there.
If you can make plays, if you have a defense, Kirk Cousins can do good for you. Like if he was with the Vikings right now, I think the Vikings would be good too. Like Kirk Cousins is that guy. He's just a game manager, can do what you need him to do. And if he would have had a defense there with the Vikings for a couple of years, the Vikings would have been a lot better than what they were. I'm not a Vikings guy. I dislike the Vikings, but I'll tell you what, Kirk Cousins was not the problem in Minnesota. And I don't think that Sam Darnold is that much better than Kirk Cousins. Like I'm not going to go as far to say that there. Kirk Cousins is aging. He's coming off an injury. I get that. But Sam Darnold's still not that much better than what Kirk Cousins was playing for you. There's a lot to do with coaching, right? A lot to do with coaching, a lot to do with defensive playmakers on that team too. So, we're looking at that division there. Let's look at the NFC West. This has got to be one of the most surprising divisions so far, but the 49ers have lost weapons. Christian McCaffrey out. Debo was out for a little bit there. They're losing weapons left and right. The 49ers sitting at 2-3. Seattle at 3-2. We have the Cardinals at 2-3. They just beat the 49ers in comeback fashion. And then we see the Rams at 1-4 right now. Honestly, with the injuries, we're looking at this the same way as like the Dolphins, the injuries. I think this is Brock Purdy's time to shut the haters up. Like, I'm going to be honest with you right now. Brock Purdy's time to shut the haters up is right now. You want to prove that you're a good quarterback in this league? You want to prove that you should make as much money as the next guy? This is your time right now. No Christian McCaffrey. Debo's been banged up. You have Ayuk. You have George Kittle, but you're missing weapons. This is the time. Everybody would say, Brock Purdy can't do it without all them weapons. You're missing a lot of weapons right now. Make it happen without the weapons, and that's something that we haven't seen so far out of this 49ers team, as they are sitting at 2-3 right now. Cardinals 2-3. Kyler Murray's starting to play a little bit better, and that's a good thing for the Cardinals. Rest of that division, not a good thing, because this Cardinals team has some good pieces on it. The defense has struggled this year, but the Cardinals, all in all, playing solid. Seahawks, defense, not that great. Offense, they got Geno. They're doing some average things out there. We'll see what happens in that division right now. But that would be one of my most interesting divisions right now, I would say, is that NFC West right now, because it's like 3 different ways this thing could go at this point.
Yeah, and I still think it's the 49ers to lose. Like, I don't trust Seattle to be, like, at the top, going into the last couple of weeks. I just think the 49ers are too loaded. Kyle Shanahan is I'll say he's a great regular season coach. I don't know how much I trust him in the postseason. That's kind of, been there, done that. We've seen that. But, yeah, you bring up Purdy. He's 6 touchdowns, 4 picks on the year. Not great. Not absolutely barn burning by any means. Kyle, yeah. As soon as that comes out, then he'll start playing bad. But do you really like? Maybe the Cardinals make it interesting. The Rams are. I think the Rams are shot. Injuries killed them. And it's a shame. That's just the way it goes. Sometimes that's going to be a long season for them, probably. But yeah. Do you think anybody knocks off the do you think the Seahawks knock the Niners out of the division? I don't know if I see that.
I don't see it. I don't see it. The team that's sneaky to me is the Cardinals. The team that is sneaky to me is that Cardinals team, just because I think they do have playmakers. They have some playmakers down there. If he doesn't, like Kyle said there in the comments there about the new Call of Duty coming out, he's waiting for that to come out down there. If you can avoid the distractions, which were the biggest problem with Kyler Murray early on there, what we saw in that 49ers game with him orchestrating a drive to come down the field to score against that 49ers defense, that gives you hope. That gives you one of those things where you're sitting as a Cardinals fan, you're like, this is what we thought we were going to get with Kyler Murray. This is what we're getting now. So that's a sneaky team for me in the Cardinals right now. If the Rams get healthy, watch out for Matthew Stafford. That guy can still ball. Like, Matthew Stafford can still ball out for you. And if they can find a way to get healthy, the Rams aren't out of it. The Rams aren't out of it right now. Kyle says there, I like the Seahawks playmakers. I mean, yeah, they got DK Metcalf, and Lockett's still there. I mean, that guy is it's like he's been there for 30 years. And whenever I think of the Seahawks, it's like the first guy I think of is Lockett. Like, that guy has been there forever on that team. But I mean, yeah, like I said, I could see it going three different ways. I really could. If the 49ers get healthy and Brock Purdy starts to play like I know he can, I see the 49ers getting back out in front. The Seahawks, playmakers, everything like that. Geno plays good enough and the defense figures it out. The Seahawks could be right there, and the Cardinals could be a sneaky team to make it interesting. So I got it going three different ways right now. If the Rams get healthy, I wouldn't put it past them. But if they're out of it, do they move on from Matthew Stafford? That's going to be a question, because we talked about the Steelers earlier, and I heard a take on that. The Steelers, Matthew Stafford. Can you imagine Mike Tomlin and the Steelers with Matthew Stafford on that team? You're a quarterback away right now. You have a good defense. You have playmakers. You have a run game. You have a good offensive line. What are you missing? A quarterback. Matthew Stafford to the Steelers is like, you are now an odds-on favorite to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs. That is no doubt in my mind. You can compete with the Kansas City Chiefs if you added a guy to the caliber of Matthew Stafford. You'd probably have to give a haul. You probably would have to get a haul of picks, right? Picks and maybe a player. But if you can avoid giving them a lot, that'd be an awesome deal for the Steelers at the end of the day.
I haven't heard that, but that is like, that would be wild. Like, and I want to see, because Cincinnati, I just don't think they compete for the division. The Browns are out of it. I mean, barring something insane, like, I mean, they might beat the Eagles this week because we've seen crazier things. But it's I mean, like, I don't want the Steelers to, because without a quarterback, like, I'm not gonna say Fields isn't a quarterback, but it's like you've far upgraded with Stafford there. So I mean, that would be awesome. Like that. I don't know though. Would you have to give an absolute haul at this point in his career? Because it's like he's on the back nine and he's putting 17. Like he's not a spring chicken by any means.
No, I agree.
I don't know though.
I don't know. I don't know what it would take to get him from the Rams. I really don't. What's up, Dustin? It's nice to see you in the chat there. I don't know what it would take to get him away from the Rams. I really don't. They would have to be out of it. They'd have to be out of it. And I don't know if you got to give a first, if you could give a couple seconds, like where you'd be with that. But man, that'd be a deal. That'd be a deal and a half for the Steelers there. And that would put them over the top. I'm telling you, that would, if you are the Rams, you're getting towards the end of Matthew Stafford's career. Like, you don't know how many more years he's going to play. If you're the Rams, are you like, we don't know if we're in contention this year. We want to get younger at the quarterback. We want to plan for our future. Would you be opposed to making a deal like that to help Matthew Stafford out, to help, this is a guy who's he won a Super Bowl. He knows the game plan. He knows how to win a Super Bowl. I mean, it'd definitely be something there. What do we got here from Dustin? What do you make of the Vikings and Raiders talking about Davante Adams? I think it's a lot of talk right now. What do you do with Davante Adams if you're the Vikings? Like, what do you do? Like, you got Justin Jefferson. You got Addison already. You got TJ Hawkinson on the men coming back. That is a lot of weapons in run. Oh, my goodness. No, honestly, I'm going to tell you this now. If there's an NFC North team that I think will get Davante Adams, it's going to be the Detroit Lions. I think the Detroit Lions see the Vikings as a threat now. They know they got to get better. Can you imagine if they find a way to make a package deal for Max Crosby and also Davante Adams? Because we heard Max Crosby's take that he wants to go as a package deal. Can you imagine Aiden Hutchinson on one side and Max Crosby coming off the other side? I would be scared if I was Jordan Love to see that defense.
That would see. I'm all for making the, as long as it's not the NFC East, but making it just everything tighter as far as, make this team a little bit better, make that team like where it's just like like it's chaos, right? Like you have the Packers competing, you have the Vikings competing, the Lions. Like I think that's good for the league. I think that's good for just people that like football outside of watching their own teams. So I mean, yeah, Detroit's. I mean, outside of Calvin Johnson, can you name a receiver they've had that's like worth talking about, really? I mean, worth mentioning, not really, not really. So it's like, yeah, that would be absolutely wild. I mean, I don't know. Do you think like they're gonna make that happen though, or is it like Devontae Adams gonna be like, you know what, this team won't trade for you, Max Crosby, too? But like, I don't think he's gonna be like, you know what, I'm holding out till we get a trade with Max. You know what I mean? I just maybe they go together because like you're picking up two superstar caliber guys. But it's like, I mean, you talk about giving up a haul, right? To get
That's a
both
haul
those
and a
guys.
half.
Yeah, both
That's
those
blockbuster.
guys.
That is like blockbuster. Almost have to add a third team into it right there. Dustin Reese comments in here. He says, let's see here. Aaron Jones is recruiting hard to get Adams. The package discussed is Adams for Jalen Naylor and a second and third. In addition, third, you have JJ as your one, Adams as your two, Addison in the slot, and then Hawk. Good luck covering them. If it happens, the Packers will be just fine against them. Don't worry. We have Jair. Jair lives rent-free in Justin Jefferson's head. As much as Justin Jefferson doesn't want to tell you that he lives rent-free in his head, he lives rent-free in his head right now. Because he's, I love that. He comes on, he says, oh, I'm not even thinking about Jair Alexander. It's like, dude, you're thinking about Jair Alexander. Like he did your giddy all up on you. Like he was all over you. You are thinking about that matchup again. And then Jair's hurt anyway, so he doesn't play. But I mean, for a Viking standpoint, you love it. But I'm telling you what, if anybody's recruiting harder to get Davante Adams, go ask Aaron Rodgers what he's doing right now to get Davante Adams into a Jets uniform, because you get him. If he goes as a package deal to the Jets defense too, you got Max Crosby on that defense plus Davante Adams. Screw it. Like, just lock it in. Just lock it in there. The one that I want to see, and we mentioned it the other day, the Buffalo Bills getting Davante Adams. I always said that'd be a great deal. Get Justin, you get Davante Adams in there for Josh Allen. Like, Josh Allen doesn't have a lot of big weapons right now. That's a weapon. That takes that team over the top. The Bills are being talked about again. I want to see guys, Davante Adams, want to see him go to, I don't think he would go to the Vikings. Does he want to? Davante Adams is a guy who wants to be the guy, right? Justin Jefferson is the guy. Davante Adams wouldn't be the guy. Right. And Davante Adams has made it pretty clear that he wants to play for quarterbacks that he's used to. One of them is Derek Carr. The other one is Aaron Rodgers. So Derek Carr is currently with the Saints, and you have Aaron Rodgers up there with the Jets. Those are the two guys he likes. I don't know if Sam Darnold being the number 2 in a room with JJ, I don't know if he wants to be that guy. I'll be honest with you. It doesn't seem like Davante Adams to me. He wants the touches. He wants the ball. He wants to make plays. I don't know if he's a guy who's all about winning. And I wouldn't hate Adams in Washington. That would be dirty. That would be dirty. Or I'm telling you now, this is what we do. The Steelers grab Matthew Stafford for less, like we're thinking, because he won't require a haul, and then they get Davante Adams to back up that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need Max Crosby because you got TJ Watt.
Like, you don't need Max Crosby because that defense is already loaded.
Yeah, I mean, you go get a number 1 receiver, a far upgraded quarterback. Like, if I'm the Steelers, like I'm nonstop.
Would that make Justin Fields better though? Just getting Davante Adams in the room?
Well, yes, it would. Yes, it would. But here's what would happen. They'd say, all right, step aside, Justin Fields. Like, we don't care about Justin Fields at this point. All right.
No.
Because like if they just brought in Davante Adams, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Adams if my head's gonna explode. I'm around too many Ravens fans, but that's besides the point. But if they're like, you know what, Matthew Stafford come on over and Davante Adams come on over to Pittsburgh, they're gonna be like Justin Fields too. You know what I mean? I mean, at the end of the day, they've now Like they could care less if he's holding a clipboard or if he's, on the Houston Texans backing him up. Like you're trying to go, I mean, it's been a while since we saw the Steelers actually. Like I think you can ask Steeler fans and say, when's the last time they actually competed for like going into the season, they have an actual legit chance. Because like now their standard is kind of like, have a winning season. All right. Oh, Mike Tomlin, every year it's a winning season. Okay, credit to him for that. They do that. But like, when are you going to say we're going ball? Like, I think maybe they thought Kenny Pickett was going to be that guy. Obviously, that flopped. And you miss on draft pick. You're not going to hit on every quarterback unless you're like the Packers. You'll get a Super Bowl out of every one of them. But it's like, I don't know. I mean, if I'm the Steelers, it's like, okay, like we hold ourselves to a higher standard. We have 6 rings. Like let's get another one. Like let's because you're not going to win. I'm sorry, you're not. You could have the what's the 85 Bears defense. I mean, maybe then you'd win with Fields. But that's about it. Like you're not, even with the defense they have, they're not going to win a Super Bowl this year. There's no way with Fields. So go balls to the walls. Why not?
Go balls to the walls, go out and win that division. Win a Super Bowl, that'd be awesome. Kansas City Chiefs with Devontae Adams, that'd be wild. That's all I know. They lost Rashid Rice. They bring in Devontae Adams, and Patrick Mahomes just lights the world on fire. Like, that would be something right there. Dustin says, what do you make of Rodgers' comments after Saleh getting fired? He said, it's not that Saleh is a bad coach. I just didn't like him personally or the way he did things. That relationship was tarnished when Rodgers went on his own vacation, didn't show up, and Saleh said that it was an unexcused absence. That whole relationship between those guys went south right then. Rodgers did not look at him the same. First year when he came in, Robert Saleh didn't look at him the same way after that too. I mean, it was the same way after that too. So that relationship was gone, and we know it was Rodgers. He has a problem with coaches who tell him how it is, and this is how it's going to be and everything like that. He has to get buddy-buddy with his guys there. So, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier on in the show there. We talked about Robert Saleh getting fired and everything like that. But it definitely is a mess, and now Aaron Rodgers is truthfully the head coach in New York right now. Let's get to the last 2 divisions here real fast. Before we get to the NFC East, let's talk NFC North here. We got the Vikings up top, 5-0 right now. Detroit at 3-1, Packers at 3-2, and the Bears at 3-2 right now. This division's good. This division right here, I would honestly say, is the best division in football right now. If you look at it from the standpoint of wins, I believe right now they are. I saw the stat earlier. I don't want to do the math off the top of my head. They're 14-5 right now. The division is as a total. That is in comparison to the NFC East. They're 11-8. The NFC South is 9-11, and the NFC West is 8-12 right now. So 14-5 is that NFC North. There's some good football being played up here. The Bears are starting to figure it out. The Packers, Jordan Love is back in the fold. You got to love that if you're a Packers fan. The defense has just got to get a little bit better. Looking at the Lions, they'll figure it out. The Lions, I mean, Dan Campbell's going to figure it out with them. Jared Goff hasn't played his greatest football yet this year, but Lions fans are optimistic right now. And the Vikings, they lead the division. Aaron is waiting for Sam Darnold to finally take a dump on the field and start seeing ghosts. That's what he's waiting for out there. Right now, Sam Darnold, I'm going to tell you this now, the last 2 performances in the second half have not been great. So does that make you worry a little bit? Maybe, just maybe. But Vikings, they're 5-0, so they aren't going to blink an eye at it because the defense is playing well and they are playing some good football all the way around. Aaron, any thoughts on the NFC North right now?
I mean, I thought Detroit would take a step back, like a little bit. Houston, I thought Houston would take a miniature step back. We'll see. I mean, Detroit's playing really good too, 3-1. Can't take anything away from them. I'm a big Dan Campbell guy. It's just like, can they continue to do this? I'm not, we'll see. Time will tell. I picked your Packers at the beginning of the year. I'm not shaking in my boots by any stretch of the Vikings being 5-0. I still see a sky falling situation can definitely happen, and I think it will happen. I have yet to retreat from that, from that position there. So, I mean, like you said, I mean, that second half of the Jets game, I mean, I don't know. I got to think Dustin is a Vikings guy, right? Like, there's no way he's not.
Yeah, he's a Cubs guy. I know that for sure. He's definitely a Cubs guy. I'm pretty sure he's a Vikings he might be Bears. Dustin, what are you a fan of over there? He said after the bye week, the Vikings have the Lions, but after that, they get the Jags, Titans, Bears, Colts at home. They could bag a ton of wins. Yeah, I mean,
good. Yeah,
the schedule definitely favors them down that little stretch.
I still trust. in Jordan Love, I trust more than Sam Darnold for sure. I just do. That's just my gut feeling. So, yeah, I mean, this, like you said, it's a great division. Bears will fade away too. Bears will finish. I still think Bears finish last. The Vikings with the hot start, they don't. There's no way they finish last, even with a sky is falling situation, which Sam Darnold can create for you. I still think Bears find a way to finish last, and then the Vikings third. But yeah, this division is running. It's running the league right now. That's for sure.
And you got first time around, right? Packers saw the Vikings team first time around. I feel like second time around, they're going to be ready for it. They're going to be ready for the hot start. They're going to be ready for it in that game there. And it's Jordan Love was one game back. That was his first game back after the injury against the Vikings. So you're going to get a different Jordan Love in game two, definitely there. So that is going to be a division that I feel like will not be figured out until probably week 17 or 18. Like that is going to be a hot division all season long. And then we got the NFC East right now, Aaron. We got the Commanders up top at 4-1. We got the Cowboys at 3-2. We have the Eagles at 2-2, and we have the Giants at 2-3 right now. This division is wow. I mean, the Commanders, Jaden Daniels is playing like a dog right now. Jaden Daniels is proving to be the best quarterback in that draft. I will stand by that statement. He is better than Caleb Williams. I will stand by that. Cowboys 3-2. This is the year. I just feel like this is the year where the Cowboys implode. I am ready for it. I am here for it, and I am ready for it. Eagles 2-2 right now, coming off the bye week. They got to get a win. They got to get a win. They got to get to 3-2 here because, man, oh man, a 2-3 start right now. Sirianni's pants may be on fire after that game. And the Giants are the Giants, but Daniel Jones did play better last week. He didn't play a bad game last week. I mean, maybe the Giants, they get Malik Neighbors back and they start to figure out something eventually here. They got the Bengals on the schedule next. The Bengals are sucking. They have I believe the Eagles right after that. So we'll see there.
Okay, he is a Viking. It had to be a Vikings fan. I was going to say the way he's definitely bullish on the Vikings, but I mean, I understand it. I'm not, by no means am I trying to be combative there, but yeah, I mean,
I'm trying to bash the Vikings. I'm trying hard to bash the Vikings.
That's your division, right? I mean, all this Commanders talk.
They're not the Bears, though. They're not the Bears. I hate the Bears. I just dislike the Vikings.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, my Eagles, man, not sitting pretty, not where you want to be. That Falcons game is one of those games where that should have been a win. Like, and now you're looking at 500, and you could have been a game above 500 with that Falcons win, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. You can't go back and change it. It's just that was an absolute colossal failure in all facets there. So, yeah, I mean, I think you're right with the Cowboys. Maybe they finish like 9-8 or whatever. Like maybe something along those lines. I'm not gonna rule them out of making the playoffs. I should say that, but I don't know, man. I know Jane Daniels is playing good right now, and I can't take anything away from them right now. But I don't think they stay at this pace either. I still think the Eagles have a shot at winning this division, and that's not just saying that from like an Eagles fan perspective, because I'm 1 foot in, 1 foot out on this team for sure. I am, but I think the Commanders will come down to earth eventually. Like, I think you'll see some rookie struggles. Like, he could have a year like Stroud. He could, but it's just like at some point, I just think, enough blitzing and just different things, that'll be thrown at him. He might see a little bit of a struggle throughout there. I don't know. I'm not going to rule out, like I said, I'm not going to rule out the Eagles winning this division, but like I said, I'm 1 foot at 1 foot out. They have to, I mean, if you don't beat the Browns this week Lincoln Financial Field might catch on fire if you don't beat the Browns. That is like the tipping point. This is if I'm Sirianni and maybe he wants his job, maybe he doesn't. He looks so stressed out. I don't know what he wants anymore, but he's probably not getting much sleep this week. Just because that is the definition of a trap game. Nobody expects the Browns they're awful. Deshaun Watson is quitting on the team. Like, this is a typical Philadelphia type of game to lose. Like, this is just like they're mixing up all the ingredients in the bowl, and this is what you get. And yeah, if they lose that game, I think this ownership doesn't usually do that. They've done it in the past, at least once. I don't know if they fire him mid-season, but this would constitute a firing. This would because you don't, and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith should be back. You don't lose this game. There's no way you should lose this game at home, off the bye week. Like, everything points to you winning this game, which is why I'm nervous that they might not.
Yeah. No, it's definitely hot times right now in Philadelphia there for them Eagles. Dustin, I see you in the comments. You're telling me you have a hot take on Shanahan getting fired. Wait with it. Just wait with it. Tell me on Friday. Come back to the live show. We're going to be back on Friday. We are running way long tonight, Dustin, okay? It is past bedtimes for most people in the United States of America tonight yet. So I need you to come back on Friday night. We'll be back here, Aaron and I. Maybe Kyle will be back. I don't know. Maybe all three of us will be here. No, you can't tell me in the comments now. He shoots it in the comments as I'm telling him not to. Dustin, I'm telling you. All right, we'll read it anyways. So Dustin says in the comments, he says, I do have a hot take. If the 49ers don't win it all, Shanahan is gone. And he said, I have a theory why. I told him not to tell me the theory. He decided to tell me anyways. So he had 3 losing seasons in his first 4 years. He has been good since, but he has failed to win the big game when it counts. 2 NFC title losses, 2 Super Bowl losses, and 3 if you count his offensive coordinator days in Atlanta. He admitted he needs to win the big game. I agree with you. See, I had more energy on Friday to talk about your entire hot take. So we're going to copy and paste that hot take you just gave us. We're going to copy and paste that hot take. We're going to bring it back to Friday on the live stream, and we're going to talk about it again. Aaron, what do you think? Is Shanahan on the hot seat? Is he on the hot seat?
And I'm the first guy to be like, this guy should go, this guy should get. I don't know if I'm a 49ers fan, I'm losing my mind because it's like, you literally can like feel the Super Bowl in your hands, and then they snatch it away from you every time. So he is whether it's completely him or not, you got to say he's like, they choke under him. They choke, and it's so I don't know. I mean, are you satisfied with going there? But if I'm a 49ers fan, I'm like, I'm twiddling my thumbs the whole game. Like, when are we going to lose this? Because that's all that's what history points to. They go and they lose, and they go and they lose. And it's they do a lot with a little sometimes on offense, I think, which I give him enormous credit for. And they always have a good defense. They're one of the best coached teams in the NFL, bar none. But I don't know. It depends what your standard is. And I think 49ers, they have 5 rings. They won another. If you don't get another ring in the next 2 to 3 years, I say, you know what you have with Kyle Shanahan. You get close, but no cigar. So I don't know if you fire him after this year. That might be a little bit too much, but there's no way he lasts another 3 more years without a ring, in my opinion. Like, then you're just kind of hoping at that point.
If you get Christian McCaffrey back for next season, if you get Debo healthy, if you have Ayuk, if you have Kittle, if the offensive line's still playing well and your defense is still loaded up, and then you don't do it next year with a healthy team, okay, now we're having a conversation. I just think it's tough because you're missing Christian McCaffrey. Like after last season, you could have said, I don't know if this guy's going to cut it, right? He had a full cast of characters in there. But now it's like, it's like talking about the Dolphins with Tua. I hear all these people like Mike McDaniels can't do it. Right now, he doesn't have a quarterback. Right now, he's trying to put Huntley out there and just pray, right? He doesn't have anybody throwing a football around right now. So I'm not holding against Mike McDaniel. I'm not going to hold it against Kyle Shanahan right now. But like you said, 2 to 3 years from now, if we're talking about Kyle Shanahan, he's got 3 Super Bowl losses. He's got 3 NFC title game losses. Okay, now we got to revisit this thing. If last season they would have lost to the Packers in the playoffs, now we're talking about it. Now we're in it. But they beat the Packers. They found a way to beat the Packers. So now it changes a lot of people's mindset. It's okay, Dustin. I see you said I'm at work. Darn it. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay there. Also, before we wrap it up here, everybody in the world hates Jesse Winker. So if it has to give you any Brewer fans out there, anything like that, if it gives you more of a reason to cheer for the Phillies, I'm going to tell you a quote right now. So Winker got hit by a pitch by Frankie Montas in the final series of the season there. And he said it's a part of sports. Those fans, they can react to you however they want. And he said they pay for the tickets. They're in the veins, the lifeblood of our sports, but I'll hate the city of Milwaukee forever. That's what he had to say there. Screw you, Jesse Winker. We don't like you either. You were a complete turd in Milwaukee. You were a complete turd. Do you know how many people, when you came in to pinch hit for the playoffs, said, why in the actual F is this guy coming in to pinch hit? Do you want to know how many people said that? Everybody. Even your kids, even your parents, even your wife was saying, we don't want you to come in and hit right now. It is a disgrace to us right now. So you know what, Jesse Winker, on that note, we want to say goodbye to you. I'm hoping the Phillies wreck you. I'm hoping the Phillies wreck you. And you know what? We hit you on purpose. We did it on purpose. And if you think Tobias Myers hit you on purpose, it was a curveball, dude. If you're going to get hit by a pitch, we're not whipping a curveball in there. I can tell you that much. We're gunning for you. We're gunning for you. So shut up. Shut up, Jesse Winker there. We had enough of you. We're going to wrap up the show on that one there, Aaron. Aaron, anything else you got to wrap us up here? Tell them where to find you out there on social media.
You know what's fun? I will say one thing on Jesse Winker real quick is even on Seattle, what he went from Seattle to the Brewers, or was there a team between them?
Seattle to the Brewers. Yes, okay. Seattle to the Brewers.
Because I even heard, because now like I've kind of ventured down the rabbit hole of Jesse Winker. Seattle didn't even, like, nobody in Seattle wanted him.
So nobody wants Jesse Winker. Nobody. Yeah. Absolutely zero of nobody. Mets fans hate him. There were Mets fans walking out of American Family Field, and this Brewer fan's walking. I saw his video, and he yells to him, and he says, "We don't hate you guys, but we still hate Jesse Winker." And they said, "Don't worry, we do too," as they were walking out of the stadium. So that's telling you Mets fans hate him, and he's there right now.
I saw him in the dugout in this last, the game they played today, and I think it was Lindor. He was near somebody. And you could just tell, like, I don't want to be near this guy. Like, you could just, like, feel, like, the body language was like,
yes,
I can't stand. And so it's like, now you're talking about, I don't know who he played for before Seattle, maybe Cincinnati at one point.
Yeah, he was at the Reds. He was with the Reds for a while. He bounced around.
Yeah, but, like, Seattle didn't want him. I mean, he's clearly not wanted by the Brewers. I don't think the Mets really want him. Like, maybe maybe he needs to do some self-evaluation, which, I mean, whatever. Like, if he can turn it around for himself, good on him. But like, I don't know. There's got to be a reason for all this. But yeah, anyway, we did get long-winded, but it was quite the fun show. I mean, you can find me on show. Thanks, Kyle, for the compliment as well. And then, like, yeah, Dustin, we talk about that at almost every show, that whoever beats I don't know though. I'm not. If the Phillies are out of it, I don't know if they get through the Dodgers or the Pod. I don't know. We'll see.
History, man. It proves true every single year.
It does.
As a Brewer fan, I'm telling you this, as a Brewer fan, I want that stat to go away. That's just telling me that the team that beat me went to the World Series and I couldn't beat them.
That's true. That's true.
Every year.
I think this is the year it ends, but the Mets are like the hot item. So we'll see. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Brutally Honest without the T, at TikTok Brutally Honest Sports, and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the podcasting platforms, Brutally Honest Sports Podcast.
There you go. You got to find this guy. He's got great stuff. He's always here on the show. We are here Sunday nights. We are here Tuesday nights. And we're also here Friday nights. We got our weekend recap. We got our midweek. And we also got the weekend preview there for you guys all week long. Who knows? Maybe we'll get on random nights too. You never know. You never know. If the sporting world's lighting up, we got to light up too. So with that, for Aaron and myself, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys back here on Friday night